Dear students, good morning. In this journey of general pathology, a few topics have been covered, and today I'll be talking about pathologic calcification. As you all know from the word pathologic itself, that this is calcification which is not normal in nature. Pathologic calcification is abnormal deposit of calcium salts that occurs in tissues except bone and teeth. Bones and teeth are areas where calcification usually occurs and it's normal, but pathologic calcification is abnormal deposits of calcium occurring in any tissue except the bone and teeth. There are two distinct types of pathologic calcification, dystrophic and metastatic. Now, dystrophic calcification is characterized by the deposition of calcium salts in dead or degenerated tissues with normal calcium metabolism and normal serum calcium levels. Now, how do you remember this mnemonic? DDD, dystrophic with dead and degenerated tissues. But here, the metabolism of calcium is normal and serum levels of calcium are normal. Whereas in metastatic calcification, there is deranged calcium metabolism with hypercalcemia, and this usually occurs in apparently normal tissues. Why does it occur in normal tissues? Because the calcium metabolism is deranged. Now, from this word metastatic, do not confuse it with any malignancy or tumor. Metastatic means occurring in normal tissue due to deranged metabolism. Metastatic does not mean metastasis due to any malignancy. So, pathologic calcification, dystrophic, occurring dead, degenerated tissues, calcium metabolism normal. Whereas in metastatic, calcium metabolism is hampered and it is occurring in normal tissues. Now, what are the morphological features? The etiology and pathogenesis of the two are entirely different, but morphologically these deposits in both resemble normal minerals of the bone. Means on histopathology or morphologically they resemble like the normal calcium. Now on H&E sections, what do you see? These calcium salts appear as deeply basophilic, means blue, irregular and granular clumps. They can either be intracellular or extracellular. At times you can have heterotrophic bone formation, that is ossification in these calcium salts. Now, how do you identify these calcium salts by special stains? On H&E, they appear as deep blue basophilic irregular clumps, and the special stains are silver impregnation method or Von Cosa that produces the black color, or you have the second special stain of Alzarin red S that produces the red staining. Now this is important because it's an important MCQ question, like what is the special stain for calcium? You have four options. You have H&E, you have some other two options along with silver impregnation or Von Cosa or the Alzarin red S stain. Now pathologic calcification can at times be accompanied by diffuse deposits of iron, and what is the special stain for iron is the positive Prussian blue reaction with the pearl stain. Now what is dystrophic calcification? As I told you, it occurs in areas of dead and degenerated tissue, necrosis of any type. Although dystrophic calcification may be an incidental finding, it signifies an insignificant past injury, or it can be a cause of organ dysfunction. As you can see, this is occurring in the aortic valve. This is a type of dystrophic calcification. Now, its location in the valve can lead to hamperings of the normal organ function of the heart, whereas at times it does not lead to any organic dysfunction. So, to remember, dystrophic calcification occurs in dead and degenerated tissues and encountered in areas of necrosis of any type. Now, what are the dead tissues and the degenerated tissues? As you know, in tuberculosis, you have caseous necrosis. So, calcific deposits in caseous necrosis and tuberculosis is very common. Liquefaction necrosis. Liquefaction necrosis occurs in the brain in chronic abscesses. So, liquefaction necrosis. Fat necrosis following acute pancreatitis or traumatic fat necrosis of the breast. There also you can have deposition of calcium. Now, in chronic venous congestion of the spleen, you have the formation of the GGBs. What are GGBs? They are gamma antibodies. They are characterized by calcific deposits that are admixed with hemosiderin in the fibrous tissue. And at times, the infarcts in the different areas like in the heart or the spleen can undergo dystrophic calcification. So, the most common sites of dystrophic calcification are the caseous necrosis of tuberculosis, liquefaction necrosis, fat necrosis, the formation of the gamma antibodies, and the infarcts. Now, thrombi in the brain may produce phlebitis, that is inflammation of the vein. You can have hematomas in the vicinity of the bones that can undergo dystrophic calcification. Dead parasites like in the hydatid cyst, the schistosoma, the cysticercosis, these dead parasites can undergo calcification. Calcification can occur in breast cancer, that is detected by mammography, and congenital toxoplasmosis involving the CNS system is visualized by calcification in the infant brain. So, dystrophic calcification occurring in these dead tissues also leads to its identification via the different mammographic and the MRI techniques. So, again to revise, dystrophic calcification occurs in dead tissue, degenerated tissue, in areas of necrosis. It can occur in caseous necrosis, liquefaction necrosis, fat necrosis. We have the gamma antibodies. It can occur in infarcts. It can occur in thrombi, hematomas in the vicinity of the bone. Calcification occurs in dead parasites of the hydatid cyst, the schistosomas, and there can be calcification in the breast cancer and in congenital toxoplasmosis. Now, coming on to the degenerated tissues. What we talked about in the last two slides were the dead tissues. Now we'll be talking about the degenerated tissues. Dense old scars undergo hyaline degeneration and subsequent calcification. For example, an injury, a stitched wound that has a scar formation, keloid. These dense old scars are basically fibrotic scars. So after the stage of fibrosis, they undergo hyaline degeneration and subsequent calcification. Atherosclerosis in the aorta frequently undergo calcification. They are known as complicated plaques. The moment you see calcification in atheromas, they are known as complicated plaques. Monkenberg sclerosis, that is calcification of the tunica media of the muscular arteries, especially in elderly people. This is very commonly seen in the leiomyoma of the uterus, and many times trauma of the tumors such as uterine fibroids, CA breast, thyroid adenomas can have dystrophic calcification. Now we come on to the Samoma bodies. What are Samoma bodies? Samoma bodies are basically calcospheroids. They are characterized by spherules of calcification. That is, what are spherules? Rolls of calcification. Samoma bodies are pathognomic findings. Pathognomic means are a must. When you use the word pathognomic, means they ought to be found, and they are a must finding in meningiomas, in the papillary serous cyst adenocarcinomas of the ovary, and in the papillary carcinoma of the thyroid. Now, cysts that have been present for a long time, for example, the epidermal cyst. Then you have calcinosis cutis, is a condition of unknown cause in which there are irregular nodular deposits of calcium salts in the skin and in the subcutaneous tissue. You have got the senile degenerative changes that may be accompanied by dystrophic calcification. Now you can see this is the fibroid showing the dystrophic calcification, fibrosis and dystrophic calcification in the pancreatic parenchyma. Can you see that big white spot? This is a calcific spot. Now, you can see mitral stenosis, gross natural color, and you can see those white spots of dystrophic calcification. Now, very nicely in this photomicrograph on the left side, you can see Monkenberg sclerosis. This is a muscular artery that is showing calcification in the tunica media. And in the right side, this is an area of caseous necrosis that is showing calcific deposits. Now coming on to the pathogenesis of dystrophic calcification. Now, why does dystrophic calcification occurs? Now, what happens in necrosis and in the degenerated tissues is that these denatured proteins will now bind with the phosphate ions. So, P with P, the denatured proteins are binding with phosphate, which will then react with the calcium ions to form precipitates of calcium phosphate. So, denatured protein binding with phosphate, then reacting with calcium to form precipitates of calcium phosphate. Now it involves two steps. The first step is of initiation, that is nucleation, and the second step is of propagation. Now what happens in initiation is that these precipitates of calcium phosphate, they begin to accumulate intracellularly in the mitochondria and or extracellularly as membrane bound vesicles, and in the phase of propagation, in this initiation phase, the minerals are deposited and they are propagated to form mineral crystals. Now coming on to the second type of pathologic calcification, that is metastatic calcification. Now what is metastatic calcification? Calcification in normal tissue. And where was dystrophic occurring? In the dead and the degenerated tissue. Again, to reiterate, in dystrophic calcification, there was normal calcium metabolism and there was normal serum calcium. Whereas in metastatic calcification, this is calcification in the normal tissue, but there is an altered calcium metabolism and there are altered levels of calcium. There is hypercalcemia, there can be parathyroid metabolism abnormalities. So this can occur due to excessive metabolism of calcium from the bone. That is due to any lesion of the bone. You can have osteoporosis, you can have multiple myeloma, you can have bone tumors. So in any condition in which there is excessive metabolism of calcium or there is excessive absorption of calcium from the gut, either excessive metabolism or excessive calcium. Now, what are the conditions of excessive metabolism of calcium from the bone? Number one, hyperparathyroidism. As you know, the parathyroid is a very important gland that controls the calcium metabolism. So it can either be primary hyperparathyroidism, for example in parathyroid adenomas, or it can be secondary due to CRF or hyperplasia of the parathyroid glands. Second, the most important reason, you have the bony destructive lesions. For example, metastatic carcinomas that deposit to the bone, especially from the lung, liver, prostate, the breast. So these tumors depositing in the bone and leading to destruction of the bone and hence release of calcium. And second is the multiple myeloma, or you can have the leukemias, or prolonged immobilization, for example in chronic bedridden patients in which there is diffuse atrophy of the bones and hypercalcemia. The second reason in which you can have excessive absorption of calcium from the gut, for example, hypervitaminosis D. You can have the milk alkali syndrome in which there is excessive oral intake of calcium in the form of milk, or administration of calcium carbonate for the treatment of peptic ulcer, hypercalcemia of infancy, or sarcoidosis in which the macrophages activate the vitamin D precursor. Now, what are the sites of metabolic calcification? It can occur in any normal tissue of the body. Most commonly it involves the kidney, especially the basement membrane of the tubular epithelium, occurring in nephrocalcinosis. It can occur in the lung, in the alveolar walls. It can occur in the stomach. It can occur in the blood vessels in the internal elastic lamina. Where was dystrophic occurring? In the tunica media, whereas metastatic calcification, the site in the blood vessels is internal elastic lamina. It can occur in the cornea, it can occur in the synovium, it can occur in the valves of the heart. So you can see kidney, lung, stomach, the blood vessel, the cornea and the synovium. You can see in the lung, metastatic calcification, how in the lung tissue, those white spots, they are the sites of metastatic calcification. Now, this is a chart that shows you the difference between dystrophic and metastatic calcification. Here you have the definition. In this definition, in dystrophic, deposits are in the dead and the degenerated tissue, whereas in the metastatic, it occurs in the normal tissue. Calcium metabolism is normal in dystrophic, whereas it is abnormal in metastatic. Serum calcium level is normal in this and abnormal in metastatic. Usually it is irreversible in dystrophic but can be reversible in metastatic calcification if the metabolism becomes normal. Causes, as I told you, necrosis, caseous necrosis. What are the different types of necrosis? Caseous, liquefactive or fat necrosis. It can occur in the fat, thrombi, hematomas, dead parasites, the old scars, the atheromas, Monkenberg sclerosis, certain tumors, cysts, calcinosis cutis, and hyperparathyroidism due to adenomas, hyperplasia, CRF, bony destructive lesions like multiple myeloma. You can have metastatic carcinoma, prolonged immobilization, hypervitaminosis D, milk alkali syndrome and hypercalcemia of infancy. Pathogenesis, What is the pathogenesis in dystrophic calcification? There is increased binding of phosphates with the necrotic and the degenerative tissues, which in turn binds to calcium, forming the calcium phosphate precipitates, whereas there are increased precipitates of calcium phosphates because of hypercalcemia in certain sites like the lung, you have the kidney, the blood vessel and the cornea. On H&E stain, these calcium deposits appear as blue, that is basophilic irregular deposits, and on special stains von Cosa with sulfur impregnation, they appear as black, whereas in alizarin red, they appear as red. Now again, I have one more topic of aging, but that I will be covering up in a second lecture, because in one lecture to be covering up pathologic calcification and aging is difficult. So in the next upcoming lecture, I'll be talking about aging. Now these are the references. You have to read Robinson Basics Pathology and refer to the Color Atlas of Pathology for the different color photomicrographs. Thank you.